So walk up in the club.
Everybody's looking at us.
Oh, that's on us.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Tammy and Wanda Show.
Hey, welcome back.
How are y'all? I hope
Doing good. I hope so. Your silence is golden to us.
All right. So, we did not really care for the new format last week, so we apologize to you, those viewers on YouTube, where it was just a little sketch. Just a little sketch.
Yeah, we weren't fans of it. We watched it and we kind of threw up in our mouths.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
So today, it's a fun day. We'll be talking about Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy, our favorite literature boyfriend.
Because, of course, you know, before this episode, we talked about Valentine's and how much we hate Valentine's. So why not jump off on the most perfect guy known to man in literature history, Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy. Now I have to ask, so we've had a few Mr. Darcys through time. Do we like book Mr. Darcy better? Do we like Colin Firth's Mr. Darcy, the 90s era? Or do we like the 2005 version of...
Oh, it was early 2000s.
The actor's name is Matthew something, but it's eluding me the last name. So
see, I like his voice.
I like everything. See, okay, I feel like what's the opposite of a cougar? A chick that likes old men. I feel like somebody who's going after people that are like my dad's age if I say Colin Firth. So, or actually, secret option D would be the Bridget Jones's Diary connotation of him as, oh my gosh, what's his first name? Mark Darcy.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's also Colin Firth. So
see, I've been a huge Colin Firth fan for so long, and I really loved him as Mr. Darcy.
That's fair.
'Cause he's so pompous. He can play a good pompous character.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's how I see the Darcy character.
Right.
And of course, I did pull up a HuffPost.
Huffington Post for the win.
Asking the 7 reasons we still love Mr. Darcy.
I'm interested.
I'm very curious because, of course, backstory, he is a famous book character from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
Which, also, can we just take a moment and love on the version of Pride and Prejudice that was so weird to me, but I had to read it. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Have you read this?
No.
And they even made it into a movie, and Elizabeth Bennett's like this badass zombie killing like
oh my
bitch.
God.
And it's like the weirdest, but it's like very Jane Austen and proper, but she kills zombies. Like it's the weirdest. It's really good. And if you don't like weird mashups like that,
it's like
skip it. But I enjoyed it.
Lincoln, the zombie killer. Where
I read that one too. That movie sucked, but the book was really good. And you find out that Lincoln becomes a vampire, and he's at JFK's like inauguration, which is really bizarre and kind of sweet. But back to Mr. Darcy.
Did you ever watch the movie Austen, I think, or Being Jane Austen, something like that? I remember watching it way back when Anne Hathaway was Jane Austen.
That's a good casting, I think.
She was very good, and McAvoy, whatever.
James McAvoy?
Yes, he was her love interest. And
the inspiration to Mr. Darcy? Interesting.
That's what I'm getting from it, like from the movie, that was her inspiration of Mr. Darcy. And of course, he couldn't marry her because she was not
elite enough for his family, apparently.
Yes, you know, she didn't have enough of a dowry for them to get married, but they did have some type of like love. So she was kind of like trying to urge on the romance of her and James McAvoy's character. And I actually think Jane Austen was a spinster.
You know what? We'll have to look that up, but I'm not sure.
I'll have to look that up.
As a big fan of hers, you'd think I would know that offhand, but that's
right?
not something I know.
I know.
Pride and Prejudice, I do believe, and I'm going to say it with much prejudice here, is her best work. I think some of the other stuff that she wrote was good. We'll call it fair even. But I think this is the one that kind of resounds with most people.
Yeah. It's
classic.
Definitely the one that sticks out the most for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get a huge book of like all of her books.
Oh, the compilation book.
Yes,
gotcha.
That huge ass book that I could not get through.
Oh, that's fair. You think that one's bad. I actually had, when you brought up Anne Hathaway, this kind of ties back into everything, where I have a Shakespeare book that's kind of similar to that.
Another one of my favorites is Sense and Sensibility. That is my second favorite. Yep. That is my second favorite, and I love the movie portrayal because
with Emma Thompson.
I love Emma Thompson, and it had Snape in it.
Yes.
Alan
Rickman.
Alan Rickman and Emma Watson. No.
Thompson.
Emma Thompson?
Mm-hmm.
Is that who it was?
Mm-hmm. I know Emma Watson is in Harry Potter with both of them.
That's right.
Respectively. So lots of Emmas. What? And there's also Emma.
Who
wasn't that also a Jane Austen?
Yep, that book? Is also a Jane Austen. Emma. Let's see. Persuasion. Let's see. Pride and Prejudice. Becoming Jane.
That you were right.
I was right.
You did say that.
Woo! Well, I was close. Let's see. Looking at our good old Wikipedia. You can sponsor us at any time.
We love you.
We find a lot of stuff in here. Let's see. Austen's plots often explore the dependence of women on marriage in the pursuit of favorable sociable standing and economic security.
Ew.
Yep.
Ew. We're not fans of the whole depending on a man thing on the Tammy and Wanda show, so. Ew.
Nah, man. Mansfield Park is also one of her writings.
See, that one makes me want to take a nap every time I've tried to read it. I'm just kind of like so tired, and it just doesn't hit.
Let's see.
Did you know that Anne Hathaway was the name of both the actress we all know and love today, but William Shakespeare's greatest love and muse and his wife was named Anne Hathaway? And if you look at her current day Anne Hathaway's husband, he looks just like William Shakespeare.
That is insane.
It's the creepiest thing you've ever seen, and she looks very similar to the Shakespeare Anne Hathaway.
Oh wow.
In looks, so it's like they reincarnated. Is that something Jane Austen would have thought was awesome? You guys let us know what you think on that one. I mean, she was pretty prolific.
Oh yeah.
And while we don't enjoy the depending on a man for everything trope in a lot of Jane Austen's work, I think for me, it's kind of, she has a way of writing timeless romance that
she does.
Seems to really resonate, whether you believe in the old fashioned trope of depend on your man or not. You kind of, you get the sense that she was very much a hopeless romantic from what she's written and how they've turned that into film.
Yeah, from what it sounds like is that her and her sister lived together.
Interesting. So she was in fact a spinster, as you so astutely noted earlier in the episode.
That's pretty insane. All right. Well, I will keep looking into this, and we'll put it on all of our social media accounts about Jane Austen's life. But let's hop on back to one of her favorite characters, Mr. Darcy. The number one reason why we love Mr. Darcy is he is a desirable alpha male.
Ooh.
It's no secret that women love strong romantic heroes. It's kind of true.
Yeah.
Kind of brought in my love for wanting a big, strong man when I was younger.
Where are you? Thank you very much.
Yes.
We love him on this show also. He'd be the perfect... He might be an interesting Mr. Darcy. Being so muscular and totally the alpha male. I wonder what that would play out like.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd fit in any of those clothes.
Probably not.
Those big, bulging, rippling muscles.
They'd be splitting all the way down the seam.
They'd have to, like, change it every scene. Like, oh, oops, here's another shirt for you.
Oops.
Let's see. They have offered a scientific point of view in Mr. Darcy. We have a hero who is rich, rich, rich.
Awesome.
And powerful, powerful, powerful.
Yes.
Oh, and very good looking.
Yeah, every connotation
and
has
tall.
been good looking and tall. Yes. Absolutely.
And a leader with qualities such as good judgment and generosity.
I don't know if I agree with good judgment, though.
I think in the beginning, it's very masked. Like, yeah. It's like, you're just like, who is this asshole?
Right. What the hell? She's adorable. Why wouldn't you want to go for her? You freaking pompous jerk face.
Yeah. Okay, so the second reason, his brooding is a sign of power.
Ew.
Darcy is more like a cold fish than a hot prospect in the eyes of Elizabeth Bennett.
I've never heard anything more astute than that, actually. That's so dead on.
But it is dead on because, I mean, she didn't want Darcy in the beginning.
She was like, who is this pompous dickhole?
She wanted the asshole who gambled his life away.
That soldier guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That ended up marrying her sister Lydia.
Yep.
Ugh.
Because poor Lydia.
Kitty. No, it was Lydia, because Kitty was the one that was jealous because Lydia got married. Got it.
And, of course, Lydia was, tied into debt, so she's normally like all of us. Just go for the wrong guy.
Welcome to the club, Lydia.
When they first meet him, yet other women see a great catch. He is enduring. He is an enduring object of female desire because of his personality too, says Welch. At the beginning of the novel, Darcy is brooding, taciturn.
I don't know. Sounds good to me.
And difficult to please.
Difficult to please is something
we can agree upon. Research shows that women tend to think such men are the best providers. Thanks, science.
Assholes that argue all the time? Awesome.
They're the best providers ever.
Science, you just, wow.
Science, I have questions for you.
We have lots of questions.
There's a lot of hypotheses here.
So confused.
He's all in.
Oh.
Darcy may appear the classic unavailable man, but we come to know that he is lovesick with his desire for Elizabeth.
Oh, yeah.
He is the tortured soul who longs for the heroine, even though he does not want to.
It's like against his wishes. I think that's the thing that attracts me to him when I read it, is that, like, he's dying of love for her, but he doesn't want to. But he, like, really wants to be with her, but he doesn't.
It's like that, it kind of reminds me of, like, that high school love where you're just like, I want him, but he's too good for me. I think in the end, he is too good for me, but in the end, he's not too good for me. Because then he ends up being like that fantastic military guy. Filled with raging debt and thinking that he's going to get out of it with marrying the youngest child of a family that's penniless.
I gotta tell you, the first time I watched that on screen, I audibly gasped when he, like, slams the door open and he's there and he's like, that conversation you had with my aunt, is that true, what you said? Do you have feelings? And you're like, it catches in your throat. Does he love her? Oh my God!
Like, oh, take me now!
Rip it off! Let's go! Right now!
Please be my Fabio of this book.
He kind of is, though. But without being obnoxious about it.
With, like, the long, trustling hair. But once he makes his mind up, he is all in and pursues the relationship with focus. In this way, he really is not all that different from all at all from modern romantic heroes.
That's true. All or
It is.
nothing, baby.
All or nothing.
All or nothing.
So I mean, once he paid off that her sister's debts, it was like,
Oh, wow.
whoa, he really does care about me.
He took care of me in a way no other man could. I think
It's
I'm going
like
to give him
that.
a shot.
It's like that guy that you throw in the friend zone for so long,
Yes.
and like he has been doing the same to you, putting you in the girl zone,
Yeah.
just like the girlfriend zone, and like in the end, you're just like you're in tears because something has happened that you just can't control, and he like secretly takes care of it, and it's just like. This entire time you've loved me, but you never
whole
told
time?
me. The whole time? The whole time?
The whole time!
We're just gonna pull a Mrs. Doubtfire out of here.
I mean,
All right.
They do sneak up on you, though.
It does.
And I think it snuck up on Darcy, which is what makes it so endearing. I don't think he expected to love her, and then all of a sudden he was, like, smacked in the face with it, and it was like...
Well, and when you think about it, his entire life, and this is why I think that I was born in the wrong era.
Oh, you and me have had that conversation.
We've
We're
had
both
this
there.
conversation
We're
many
both
a
there.
times. Now, if I could think about it, I would probably, the way that my social status is now, I probably would have been that 13-year-old farmer's child who was married off to the other farmer's child because they needed more land and negotiation, so I was just a pawn.
The pawn in a scheme for more land.
Had my first child at 14.
Oh my god, yes.
At one point, just at one point in my life, I would have loved to have known that I was of higher stature.
I think I would have been more of an Elizabeth Bennett myself in terms of economics or money. We're middle class. I feel like the Bennett family is kind of the middle class of the film or the book even.
I really think that they are the low part of middle class.
Yeah, no,
but
I
they
agree.
try to be the higher part of middle class.
Upper middle crust.
Trying to be those fat aristocrats.
Yep.
And that's why they mingle with all of them. My family, they wouldn't have made it that far. They wouldn't have been able to even purchase the horse and carriage.
Do you think, though, that Mrs. Bennett, she kind of reminds me of Duchess Kate Middleton's mother,
Okay.
where she was like hell-bent on getting Kate and William back together after they broke up, and she
Oh,
was kind
yeah.
of instrumental in like getting them engaged and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, having a dedicated mom that knows what she wants for you. But
Amen.
like, I feel like Mrs. Bennett is similar in that way, where she's like, let's marry these girls off and get them the hell out of here before we die and can't provide for them anymore. And
Well,
the dad's
yeah.
just kind of mopey. And as sweet as he
Like,
is, you're like, get on it! You have 5 daughters!
Yeah, because like when you think about it, if you do not have an heir in that time frame, you're pretty much screwed because the girls couldn't work.
Isn't that where the
Especially-
creepy cousin Collins comes from?
Yeah, because like they're just like, well, listen, you're getting up there in age, and you got these daughters that just won't marry off too quickly.
Yeah.
So, first cousin here. I got the money from the family.
The first cousin's like, I wonder which daughter I'm gonna marry so that it stays in the
I
family.
mean,
Ew.
there have been some social rumor down the grapevine that the oldest is probably going to get married off pretty well. So I'll go with the second one.
Which was poor Lizzie. Poor
And she's
Lizzie.
like, fuck no, I'm not marrying into the family.
Especially that guy. I mean, and I gotta tell
You
you.
could tell that he was probably inbreded.
Ew. Also, when you watch the movie, and I'm gonna go off of the early 2000s one because that's the one I've seen the most recently.
Well, it's really hard for me to see him as that character because he was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes. Which I forgot about, and I watched Pirates like recently, and I was like, Collins? Ew.
What?
But he's like such a fucking troll in the Pride and Prejudice role as Collins, where you're like, ew.
But if
Is
you
that even his
like,
name? Am I messing that up?
I don't even.
Whatever,
remember.
it's close enough.
A
So,
cousin from the same family.
some preacher guy, and doesn't he end up marrying her friend Charlotte,
Yeah.
the spinster? I am already 27 years old.
I
am
know.
unmarried and already a burden to my family. That's a direct quote. See,
Well,
I remember stuff like that, but I can't remember the guy's name. See what I mean? It's crazy.
It's random things. It's like me trying to figure something out at work and me just busting out quotes like, it's my job. Movie quotes like, it's my job.
But it makes you entertaining. What's the next reason girls love these Darcy
the next
men?
reason is, it kind of follows number 3. He risked it all for the woman he loves. Darcy is a rich young man with power, living in an era where status and conventions hold a lot of weight. A man with resources who won't commit his heart to the heroine is no good at all. But Darcy is focused solely on Elizabeth. He could have any woman he wanted, being the universal sought hottie as he is. But in women's fantasies and in Austen's romance novels, the heroine is special, singular, worthy of his holy focus, pursuit.
So he was kind of like the Jeff Bezos of his time, where he was like one of the richest, elitist people in their time and area.
Yeah.
And so he could have literally married anybody of stature, and he chose love.
See, I think Jane Austen read way too much Cinderella.
Yeah.
Where
I agree.
The prince had all these women, but that one chick that just comes over the hill.
You know what I think it is, and why I think this story resonates with so many of us that are not really feminists, but like live in a more feminist time. You know, we kind of stick with Elizabeth Bennett because she's like, no, fuck you. Work for it.
Yeah.
And she makes it, and I think that's interesting to him because all of the status socialite women are like fawning over him and falling over themselves for him. And she's like, no, work for it. And I think he finds that interesting, and it's kind of a challenge.
It's like hunting for that fox.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the pursuit.
The game.
The desire, the pursuit of that game, that end game. You don't want a fox to like lay down and be like, here I am, take me.
Well, and I think that's what he had his whole life, is just women going, oh my god, I know you're rich, but like, I'm also kind of rich, so don't you want to put a ring on it? And he's like, fuck you, no.
Don't you think that our families would,
I would like extra land at Pembroke. Can I come? Thanks.
Yeah, like when you think about it, we have evolved to using money as negotiation, as back in Jane Austen time, we used people.
Or goats.
I
mean, that was part of the dowry. Sometimes it was livestock. Yeah. You'd get like a cow and a donkey with as a kickback for giving your daughter
really
to their
funny.
family.
Like the first time that I heard about a dowry, I thought that it was like a giant hope chest.
Well,
just here's your dowry, a whole closet of clothes.
You're welcome. Then you find out it's like almost like glorified slavery, or like not really, because the girl doesn't end up being a slave, but it's kind of similar to that.
Listen,
how it works.
it's kind of like
creepy.
human trafficking.
That's a better example.
It is. It is human trafficking within the family.
It's gross.
It's disgusting. So a part of me is really happy that I don't have any lineage to the higher ups.
Being poor is easy. You just trade a girl for land. Done.
Hopefully you and your betrothed
have
farmer,
like 15 kids.
Betrothed farmer can get along long enough to have children.
So they can do the work, so that you guys don't have to do it all alone.
So then you can just repeat the process. Yes. Just barter for land. That's why I come from a long line of farmers.
I think I do too, but German farmers.
Or
German royalty in my one great-grandmother's case, which we just did a 23andMe, and I've been looking through those results all week so far, and it's interesting. Like, I'm predisposed for thin hair. What other things do you get from your lineage, And it's kind of weird to see how that plays out.
I've done ancestry.com. I got it for Christmas one year, and I did it. And what's really funny is that me and my sister, like when we were doing this, I was spitting into the tube because that's
Which is
what you
gross,
have to do.
But you have to do it.
It was disgusting, And as I'm packaging it all up, I was like, Mom, this is your last chance to tell us if we are siblings. Because if it comes up that she is way more Irish and I am way more German, we've got some questions.
We want to know what Irish and German men were in your life and what the difference is between them and Dad.
I'm just like, what if it's like completely different? I was just like, what if we're on like complete opposite sides of the world? Like, what if she's over there and I'm over here? And
I can understand like percentage differences, but you know what wigged me out? Speaking of family members, my Aunt Lisa has also done a 23andMe. I didn't know that until I logged in, and they're like, "We've predicted that this is your paternal aunt based on your genes. That you share 23.7% of your genes." And I was like, "She is my paternal aunt." Whoa.
Yeah, my cousin Kevin, he did his, and they were just like, "We have determined that this person and you are first cousins."
It's like the DNA stuff just really gets me.
It is. It's really insane. And what we did find out, like between her and I, what we've compared, hers had the health side. They lost mine. So she was actually determined with fatty liver disease.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Through
crazy.
that. But then when COVID struck, they could not give out the ancestry.com and health one because they needed all of the equipment for COVID testing for the health part.
Yep, that makes sense.
So they stopped that, and of course they fucking lost mine, which pissed me off. But that's okay. That's besides the point. But we found out that Chelsea has more of our dad's side.
Oh.
And I have more of my mom's side. I'm more German than she is.
Interesting.
And she has more northern, like northern Wales. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Danish and Brits kind of area.
Yeah, and she's got a little bit more, she has a higher percentage in Irish than I do. I only had like 7%. And I was like, well, shit, I thought I was more Irish than...
Well,
no,
they
I'm
do
German.
say, like, if you read through, if any of you guys have done those, like, they've got, like, an amalgamation of if your parents also do the test, they can tell you specifically, like you're talking about, the breakdown of how much of your mom you are and how much of your dad you are genetically.
And it actually alerted me that they had just found a third cousin of mine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Chelsea, she has, because, like, you get a higher subscription if you pay for it. And I didn't. I just wanted to find out all of my percentages and what I had. I'm very sensitive to bitter and sweet tastes.
I was sensitive to bitter, not sweet.
Okay. I have red hair.
Okay.
My children can have red hair.
Only 1% of my children could have red hair. 99% brown over here. Mine's dyed. So
they said, from your DNA, we determined that you have blue eyes.
Hello?
I was like, yes.
Mine predicted brown. And again, those watching, brown.
And I have blue eyes. It told me that my hair was curly to normal. Normal to curly.
I would say more curly than normal.
Yeah. I sent her a bedhead hair, and it was like Einstein.
See, mine just naturally falls. If those of you watching, it's pinned straight, and every once in a while I'll have a kink in it from where I slept, where I got to straighten that one piece, but this is just what I wake up like.
Nope. I went to my mom's house yesterday, and it was... Whew, it was poofy.
Poofy curls.
Poofy curls. And I forget what else, but it also broke down, like, where your family would mostly be from, and mine was PA. And
Mine's from PA. Yeah, because a lot of German settlers landed in PA or Ohio.
Yeah.
So
and it showed that my ancestors came from PA to Ohio. And
Lancaster, PA.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I found out before I did ancestry.com, my grandma kind of had like she found her Bible and it had like the family tree.
Oh, how cool.
So she actually got the family Bible and it had the family tree in it, partial of it. And,
enough that you can get started.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, your great-great-grandparents came over from Alsace-Lorraine, and it's actually on there.
Ooh.
Where they came from the southern part of France that's kind of battled between Germany and France. So one year it'll be France, the other it'll be Germany, whatever. So they came over to PA, and they actually helped start the movement from Lancaster to help the Amish come over to Ohio.
Yeah.
To build their little community in Millersburg.
Yeah. See, we have a lot of family in common. I wouldn't be surprised if we were like
We're
18th cousins
related.
or something somewhere down the line. I'm sure we probably are, but because I was like, my dad's family's from Millersburg.
My family's from Millersburg.
It's weird, and then we somehow found each other. It's bizarre, but here we are.
It's insane. Yeah, because I remember every year that we would go down to take care of my great grandparents' grave, because that's like a huge tradition of ours.
You put flowers and stuff and decorate.
Yep, and what we would do is we would drive down the old homestead, which apparently my great grandparents had 250 acres of land.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and where the original house sat was like behind where this Amish house was, where they kind of like rebuilt it. And when my great grandparents passed away, instead of selling it to English men, they actually broke up the land for Amish.
Okay.
So all of our family homestead was actually passed on to Amish heritage.
That's fair. I mean,
because they didn't want it to get tore apart.
Our German ancestors created the Pennsylvania Dutch in Pennsylvania, and that's who came over to become the Amish. So I'm sure we have probably Amish cousins also between the two of us somewhere.
Probably.
So, which cool. You know, they just do stuff a different way than we do. No big deal.
See, and who's to say? All those Darcys out there, there's probably real Darcys out there somewhere.
I mean, I'm sure they're not Amish. They're probably still British aristocrats.
Oh,
but
man, I remember so many times my mom telling me when I was younger, she's like, man, we should just marry you to an Amish boy. Because I always lived near an Amish family.
Dude, I don't know if I could have done that. Like,
me
real,
either.
Real talk. That's like the one lifestyle I am not equipped for. I need running water.
I need
electricity.
I need music.
Internet. Like, I'm a basic bitch, but like, that's where I'm high maintenance compared to Amish women.
Because like when we would go out, my Uncle Kenny and Aunt Mary, they actually built like a huge cabin house up on the hill, not too far away from the homestead. Like the original house that they grew up in, that my grandma and my uncle were born in, was still standing, or still is standing.
Wow.
So the house that they were born in is still there. And so we would go up there, and my mom, all the time, like, I'd have my CD player, have my headphones on. My mom's like, take all that stuff off. Turn everything off. And she's like, do you hear that? And I'm like, nothing, but I'm getting real antsy because I would like to have music again.
You're like, no, I hear nothing, and it's horrible.
She's like, that's it. It's perfect. I'm like, no, it's not.
No. We need to jam in the barn because this is not happening today. Not today.
I told Mom, I was like, if I was going to be a full-blown Amish person, Rumspringa would have came early.
And you wouldn't have went back, I have a feeling.
Back.
A lot of them don't nowadays.
No.
I mean,
no.
It's kind of sad because they're actually a really great people. They're the first ones out there crusading for other groups or minorities.
And honestly,
it's amazing.
And honestly, they are still the ones who still do their human trafficking negotiation.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
They are, yeah.
And
Mary Yoder and, you know.
Yeah.
The other big name.
Yeah. Like I was with I lived up on below the Troyers.
Oh, the Troyers.
There's so many Troyers out there. I forget who else we lived by, but they were all pretty much the same. And of course what they do is that they have these huge tracts of land, and every child that gets married, they add another house onto the land.
Yes.
So that it just keeping it close to the family.
It's kind of beautiful, and they're like the one culture I think that we have that's like in modern day that you can look at as being the most Christ-like.
Yeah.
For those of our listeners that are, Christian or Catholic or whatever you are, the Amish people really stick to their faith, and they're very loving and supportive. And I remember Mom and I were coming back from a baby shower with family members in Millersburg. We got lost.
The good old days.
And we didn't know what to do, so I rolled my window down because there was a horse and buggy, and I was like, "Excuse me, sir, we're from the city of Worcester, and I have no idea where I am. Can you help me get back to Route 30, please?" And he gladly gave us directions on how to get back to the main road and was very kind and sweet. He's almost like the Good Samaritan in that fable in the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's always bad in every group of people, but like, it's pretty rare to find a mean Amish person that won't at least like answer a question.
And really, if they aren't going to be mean, they're not going to talk to you in English form. They're going to talk about you in Yiddish.
Yes. Or Deutsch.
Or Deutsch.
And you'll never know if you don't speak those,
Then
what they're saying about you.
I mean, it's very funny. Like, I asked my mom because I would see them in stores and I would hear them talking, and I'm like, Mom, what language are they saying? She's like, oh, they're talking in Deutsch.
Which is a low form of German from what my family members have told me.
And she's like, I used to listen to the elders all the time on the universal line, because they had a universal line in the house, and you would always hear the elders talking on that line.
How cool.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, there's a lot of things that my grandma told me, like the deep, dark stuff, and of course you see that on like Breaking Amish.
Yeah, the show about the Amish kids in Rumspringa, and you see a lot of the dark stuff that happens, but they're mostly good.
Yeah.
Like most races and ethnicities.
Oh,
and
yeah.
people.
Like my mom, my grandma, she would tell me stories, and they were kind of questionable.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, yeah, like, if I was offered to be Amish or marry an Amish, like an English marrying an Amish, she's like, I probably would say no, because they would be able to take care of me and everything. But she's like, I don't really like some of the things that I grew up seeing.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of circling back. I think that's why Darcy was the way he was, is he didn't like some of the stuff he found in the socialite culture.
Yeah.
And I think marrying, an Amish form of English, in this case, that's something completely different than his wheelhouse.
Because when you think it's completely like, oh my God, he married below him.
Yeah.
He did not marry equal. He married below.
Way below.
And of course, number 5, he admires his woman for who she is.
See, and we need more
And that's
of that.
what we all want.
Yes. I think that's why he's been so endearing for so long.
Let's see, what do they say? Publicity coordinator for social development at Wiley. Darcy is even more appealing because he accepts the things in Lizzie that make her so relatable and inspiring to readers. She didn't give in to socialite pressure. She rejected an offer of marriage that, while it would have made her miserable, would have secured her future. She did this in order to have a chance at securing her own happiness, where all of us are pretty much at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how many of us have decided to, like, be with someone and end up they were being extremely abusive, and you know that you would just be unhappy, but it would, like, your social status would still stay.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much every WASP marriage in the upper middle class of or even the elite socialites in New York. I think that's a lot of what they deal with.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to lose my fancy Upper East Side apartment, so I'm going to stay miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, no. She was an empowered woman who chose her own path.
Okay.
She doesn't sacrifice her principles and take the easy road of marrying a minister to gain some financial stability. She took her future into her own hands, as so many women today still struggle to do. Mm-hmm. She's the quintessential example of why women shouldn't settle.
and never settle. That's just something that we on the Tammy and Wanda show believe in 100%. Wait for the person. Don't settle. Don't settle for me. Baby cakes, don't settle for me.
Well, and it's don't settle for like it goes both ways. In your personal life for marriage or in
Jobs.
your career.
Yeah.
You don't want to settle. You never want to settle.
Go for the gold, baby. Get what you want.
And speaking of gold, I have been obsessed watching Gold Rush.
Which those guys would have been feeding the cash to Darcy, so.
And the love story of Darcy and Elizabeth captivates us.
Well, I mean.
Which it does.
Yeah. It sucks you in.
Because, I mean, all of us who have read it, and don't lie out there, all of us believed we were Elizabeth Bennett.
Her and Jane are the only two relatable sisters, I think. Maybe Mary to a degree, because she's like the
Was Mary the oldest? No,
Jane
she was the middle.
oldest. Mary's the middle one that plays the piano at the party.
Oh yeah, that's right. And
all she wants is some attention.
Yeah. But also, she's like, man, stop this.
But
Stay
she's
the fuck
also
away from
just
me.
as opinionated as Lizzie, so
Yeah.
it's kind of refreshing. Yeah.
Let's see. And the final one is romantic, yet the struggle is realistic.
Yes.
It really is.
Well, I mean, because you have to try to go against either go with or go against what your family wants you to do. And that happens a lot, especially when you're younger.
It happens a lot because, I mean, your parents have this plan for you.
Right. And even if they tell you they'll support you no matter what, internally they've got an idea of what they want you to be someday.
You know, like, they're just like, I want you to marry that rich doctor so that you don't have to live in squalor like we are now.
Do you know how many times my mom told me that? Marry a rich kid. That way we don't have to worry about you and you'll be taken care of. You don't have to work hard. And here I am, the breadwinner of the house instead. Sorry, Mom.
See, when someone tells me to do something or they want me to do something, I do my damnedest to not do it.
Yeah. See, I think you're more like Lizzie than I am. I think I'm more of a Jane in this
Challenge accepted. Like, really, like, that is why I was just like, oh my god, I'm Lizzie.
She's so wealthy.
Like her mom's just like, marry your cousin so that we have some financial, like, you have financials that, no. You're telling me what to do. No.
And you know what's crazy is I resonated with her for a different reason. My parents are her parents. Like, my mom's the one that's like, you need to call about going into college and you need to do this and you need to, like, always. And thank God for that, because I think she's like my inner monologue sometimes now, like, about getting things done and accomplished. But there were times where, like you, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I would run out to Dad, just like Lizzie does. Do I have to marry my cousin? And he would be like, ew, no. No, it's fine that you said no. Absolutely not. Not my sweet baby girl. And
like, oh, no.
There were moments where that was it, where he's like my savior moment, where he's like, no.
It's funny story. I was kind of like betrothed as a child.
Unofficially to a boy.
to a family friend that, like, we grew up playing soccer together. We were in the same class together. His parents, my parent, were just like, you know what? These two would make the greatest couple alive. No.
They're not together today, guys.
We're not together today, so it worked. It did not work the way that they wanted it to.
Well, guys, that's a wrap for us today. But let us know who your favorite Mr. Darcy is in the comments, and we'll post our Huffington Post article, so you guys can read it yourselves and let us know what you think about that too. We will catch you on the flip side.
Goodbye, all of you gentle people, and I hope that all of your endeavors are filled with love and joy.
And joy.
Goodbye.